everyone. Welcome to your daily fix with NFA OFC. Um, Not financial advice, of frickin' course. Go and read the disclaimer at the beginning because it's important. Today, it is frickin' March 1st, finally Friday for us. Friday again for Pope because he thought it was Saturday today. It is Saturday for other people on the other side of the world. Maybe Pope is just hoping that he was in Vietnam. Today, money flow cycle gives us a heads up on how the money is moving within the market. So, say it with me, we can make better decisions. Market cap, dominance, Bitcoin, ETH, and those ones will let us know what the heck they're doing so we know what the heck we are doing. We are going to hit on Cosmos, Casper, Phantom, Kasuma like we have. And I want to look at Zuka. I wrote Suki. Anyway, I could be wrong. I'm just going to double check, but we're going to double check that because I made a good call and didn't get in. So it'll be fun. Maybe I'm a chicken today. Maybe I'll be back at number one. Hey, buddy.
Hey, we're going to let you decide. We can discuss that in a bit. Let's look what's going on. As you personally know, I haven't really been away from the machines most of the day. So I'm excited to have a look. It is not Saturday here quite yet. Saturday, some of you looking forward to joining you on that day. And the hunt starts on the weekend. Got some exciting stuff, some better entries or some new entries, not necessarily better entries, I should say. Some new entries coming for next week, just like we've been doing on the show for the last 39 of them, which is crazy, to show you how we've been doing what we do. So let's, as we always say, dig into it. We are definitely seeing more money come into the total market cap. We wanted to see these lines go. We wanted to see some pullback. We got 1 day of pullback, and we're off. We're really little money here. You can see how little. Now, granted, this is brand new. We've calmed down. Out of all the spreads we've been having, we want to see this weekend stability, or we want to start to test this 2.4. The indicators are saying we're off. Let's just get rid of the drawings. We have critical greed. It makes sense on a weekend that we typically have a little bit of pullback and relaxation. Not saying it's going to happen because our micro bull indicator is screaming we're off to the races. And when we look at the last time we were in these areas, it was a long time ago. And then it happens fast, and we want to break this. And as we've been talking now for a while, we don't have retail yet. We're so close to all-time highs in so many things. We're beyond ahead of track of where anybody thought for total market cap and valuations of a lot of these projects we've been looking at, which is fabulous. It's great, especially if you're in them. So we do have our critical greed indicator firing, saying consolidation, pullback, makes sense, weekend. That's where I'm kind of taking a little breather. I'm going to reassess a lot of profit situations and where it looks like we may have better entries to make more profits. Move that capital, make the capital work. So with that, we can see our dominance has come down. And this is what we've been wanting. This is exactly what we want, because this means if market cap stays the same or goes higher, the money's flowing into alts. But we also know typically there's a little bit of correction. We're seeing some pullbacks. Wouldn't be overly surprising to see a little bit of action in this area. Oh, my apologies. I usually have that on there. There we are. So over the weekend, this would make sense. I don't expect a big drastic like this because this was all week. Mellowed out on the weekend and then the early week. So That's kind of what I'm thinking for dominance and market cap. But this is why I also say if you're short-term trading, we're watching this on much lower time frames and really analyzing it because it makes a massive difference in the short term. With the trades that we look at here on the show, the Kusama, the Cosmos, the Stacks, all the ones we've been doing, Casper, we've had a ton of them. All these have been slower, longer trades. And if you're in them, you're in massive profits. Congratulations.
Those three little soldiers, I call them, on the dominance. It always seems like a good sign to me.
Parallel channel, right? Change of
Yeah, because it's
direction.
yeah.
We have a bullish wedge pattern forming. It means we would probably have a little bit of an up break, right? Which would make sense. You know, we got a little bit of an up, a little bit of wedge forming. Typically, we either consolidate and go up, but we don't want that. We want to consolidate and go down and break that formation.
Hopefully, we stay with the consolidation over the weekend. That would be ideal.
That would be all right. Speaking of consolidating, right in the area we want it to be in. It's holding the daily support. It's missing this 63,987 daily resistance, which is that, you know, basically, for lack of better words, $64,000 round number target. We're in this box after super greed, same position, bullish. It's probably going to be a flag by the look of it. Maybe, who knows? We'll see as it plays out. Or yeah, flag because it's a rectangle. And hopefully we're off. You know, I would like to see this over the weekend. I don't think this is going to last as long to here before we're contesting. You know, I would like to see here where we start to contest up in these areas. This is where I'm hoping we get to next, is at 67.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if we because I think that's Wednesday, Thursday you have that on.
Somewhere in there for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to be exact. Probably, you know, early midweek, Tuesday to Thursday.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see because sometimes it, like you said, it gets there, but it happens, you know, way before
so
or way
fast,
after
and
that you
then
think, yeah.
holds. But look at this gradual, nice healthy pullback, gradual consolidation, some pullback, wicked fast ups, massive pullback. Everybody's panicking. Just kidding. No, here we are. You know, this is where we want to see the calm after such a hellish storm up. Now, this big thick line this is our localized daily high of all time. That's why we know that gray line there is thick. Whoops. For how I do my strategies with my TA, I know when I see the same color on a daily, but it's that thickness, I know that's the daily all-time high ever. I also know that just due to the price. And we have maybe possibly the start of a curl here. Maybe a little cool off and then off. I'm fine with that. And that's right now where I think we are. But as we talked about earlier in the week too, one day I'll learn. One day. As we talked about earlier, we'll get that, you know, we'll have that fast pullback where alts are going to see a 40 as like a quoted Becker, where, you know, there's going to be a 40 to 65% wipe of alts off the table. You know, when it happens fast. Do you panic sell, get out? Do you get wicked out? You know, all these kind of things come into play. So right now, I think we are doing great with Bitcoin. I like Fridays and Mondays because Fridays we can really see how our thoughts played out. And then when we look back next week, we kind of clear everything unless it's perfectly laid out, and we continue just to leave it because why wouldn't you? I don't think we're going to change anything with Ethereum. I mean, damn.
We've just been watching it, like I said, watching it walk up that staircase.
39 shows of calling Ethereum. I love it. And it's not to blow our own horn. It's using the data. It's using our tools. It's using our strategies. And also understanding that it can move in all these different directions that we talk about. But what's realistic for everything that's going on? I mean, textbook. Definition of textbook, doing what it's supposed to do according to indicators, healthy markets, technical analysis. You don't get any better. It's been great. It's been nice to watch. The trades we've been in for the last little while, and hopefully this weekend we find some new ones so we can start fresh.
I got a whole list, my friend.
If you're not in,
coming your way.
If you're not in any of these, it's still not too late. There'll be better trades coming, I think, with the stuff we'll find this weekend. But anytime, like we always say, buy red days. These are journeys to larger profit targets. And on Cosmos, we were talking about in bull markets how sometimes you need to do multiple limit entry buys. Now, we knew this was very unlikely case down here. If that micro bull turned into a micro bear, it was very possible to hold these lines, get a couple of entries. Worst case, best case, big wick. We might catch one down here. We know because we talked about all ages, we caught our first chance. And then we've been on an uphill ever since our first target of our support resistance on the daily in here. Actually, I think this was on a different time frame because it's not matching up to these, but when we did all the work. So we're still off. And if you wanted to get into Cosmos, just wait for one of these red days. But we're at where that target was. We're now at basically, that's correction and ugly, but there's a lot of cup and handle formation starting. And it's interesting to see. Indicators are spread. We're still going. There's going to be some resistance here. Heavy. It was in the past. It's been a long time since it's been up here. Now, it might just very well bounce to the next area. We'll check.
When we're thinking about that, that's when I go to the weekly and see what the indicators are saying and back down to the 4 hour.
Totally. When in doubt, zoom out. That's the expression. Look at that capitulation on the weekly. Long game on this current price right now here today. If you got in, not the best time to buy, but up to there on the weekly, 275%.
What makes you say it's not the best to buy if you're grabbing it and holding it? Is it just because it's not a red day yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we're going to have some of these coming. We just had a whole bunch of pumps. Don't buy green candles.
It's true, especially if it's a cup and a handle, there'll be a handle.
Yeah. All right. Here was your weekly cross, a little bit of pullback because that's big gains in a short period of time. Consolidation. Now we're off because the market's up. Makes sense that we're going to have the resistance in this price point in here. Lots of fast action in here. Lots of greed in here, firing before, lots of fast action. So yeah, it's a great one to watch. But believe it or not, this is why the hunt is so cool, because I think we'll find better ones than 268% on a weekly. To be honest.
I'm sorry, you think we'll find those numbers, you think we'll find better ones than that? Because 200 some is pretty generous.
Welcome to the show.
I think you and I, again, this is where you and I look at things from the different financial telescope.
I mean, this is still phenomenal numbers. Like, let's not kid ourselves, right? You're on a weekly breakout here on a trend. But when we're looking, when we're looking at if this is our target, and we have to also look, does this make sense with the total market cap of where it is now to where it was here to what it would take to get there, right? That's all-time high. Not everything's going to make its all-time highs again. And that's all based on market cap, and that's food and discussion for another show or the Discord. But it stands to reason that we're going to get into some of these sections. Where are my tools? Right. Looks like to me we're in this one. Right. And we're right in the middle, retesting on a weekly. This is a strength position to pop. That little tiny bit there's 9%. $69. The degens are happy. You know, and it stands to me with one day that this retest candle is probably pretty good. Market sentiment bullish, probably pretty good. Does it mean it's the best time to buy? No, because you know that's a lot of profit right there. That's a ton of profit. There'll be a little bit of pullback. We can already see the wick. We buy red candles. That's always the FOMO. And that's okay, one line, one rectangle, and a percentage. The indicators are pretty much telling us the exact same thing. We know when we get top to that close band, there's pullback down to the median, the dotted white line. We've rocketed 3 parallel up, boom, boom, boom. We'll have a little bit of a pullback, and we're off. This is on the weekly, though. Right? We can see how big these wicks are. If we're talking about, hey, we're going to hold this for a few months and see if it gets up to these levels here. Like if this becomes our target, from current price. And that's what I don't think I've also made clear on some of our trades when we're talking about them. I'm not looking necessarily to get to the all-time high on them. I'm trying to find situations where we can get into the next major resistance where it's massive money, wait for the pullback, and then we'll look again. But just based on that, in this situation, current price today, roughly, of course, it's 120%. So if this is our target right now with this, yeah, we know, wait a bit, there's always pullback. And then we can ride this one out, just like we have with Casper when we shorted it, stepped it up long, and AGIX and Gleam. And, you know, we only have so much time in one show. We focus on a few at a time. But if you go back and watch any of them or any of our entries from our hunt, or if you're in our Discord and you go to the board on middle of February, I said, great place to get in, great place to get out. If you didn't want to get out, you just held. You're howling. Absolutely howling. This is easy. This part is it's the mental game. It's the hard part. Finding these layups, waiting, the patience, good token, not a shit token. Massive differences. Phantom, prime example, is where we said, hey, get in. The pattern we've been waiting to play out. We got in here. We've always known this has kind of been our target. We're almost there. My bad. Just rough, dirty, right up to the top. We were playing this for some 50 some odd percent. How far are we off at the moment? 10-ish, 11% from our target, and we're at just shy of 40% in 25 days. These are the kind of plays we're laying up for short trades. And this is what we're looking for on the hunt. These ones are almost done. Time for some new ones. Let's take some profits. And let's do these kind of numbers again on the longer term. And then on the shorter term, now that I'm back, we're gonna have some fun.
Would you then take, I mean, I guess it all depends on how much you've got in there, but take profit at the top of that cup and then buy back in at the bottom of the handle
In
if
here?
it's so, yeah, if it is so
Yeah.
going that direction. Yeah.
Absolutely. If everything's playing out, because then where's our next target line? Because we know this angle here is from our weekly view.
Mhm.
So we know we have some massive all-time highs from where we are. to get to. Remember you said 268 at that all-time high before?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, we could probably find some better ones. There's 543,
Oh, I see.
right? But do we know about the market cap again? Right? The narratives and everything going on, like these all come into play. But that's what I mean when we'll find lots of entries. Entries don't become the hard point. It's picking them and not FOMOing when yours isn't pumping when the other ones do, because your turn will come. Look at Cello right now. Look at a few others right now that we've been talking about for a while. You know, it's almost beautiful when you see the system and how it works. It's like a dance between how the system works and your emotion.
That just sounds like dance in general.
Right?
Oh, Primo's joining us in the audience today.
Our editor extraordinaire. Where we got in the gold line, where we said if you missed the gold line, your wick for entry was here. If you wanted to get in and you missed all this, we did a breakout, gave you an entry here, which caught that wick. Ironically, just caught it a few days again. Right again, beautiful. Kusama has been a great trade. And same kind of cup and handle, what we've been looking for from the long term. So when we get into this localized high here, if we've been in here, is where we want to get out, let it for a pullback and we go, or we find other juicy trades where we go, hey, it's been 25 days and just shy of 40% again. And our target's in the 50s. And if you don't watch these up and down panics and you just play, look at the fucking wick on this thing. And you just play the game of what our strategy is, you've been doing really well. And this is what I get excited about. This is what I do for work. And I'm glad you guys actually care and want to come along for the ride. I mean, not financial advice, but of course, to the moon. Look at what you called yesterday.
Would you look at that?
And we gave you 2 entries on the show. That one hit clearly. This one did not. And I mean, holy student showing Jedi Master. We put this, I mean, I think that was current price at the time of the show to there, 34%. And we even talked about if you don't want to worry about finding that perfect entry, just buy on the next little red down bit and, you know, don't worry about these shavings of percents because we know the momentum is up. And that's another thing I wanted to address. You don't have to try to be a pro trader. You gave a perfect example of where we hit our bullish cross indicator and we were off. And our levels of support, we didn't think we were going to hit them that far. We laid out a bunch thinking about, you know, talking about the journey we might take to get there.
Yeah, we blew through a couple of weeklies there. That was wild.
You know, sometimes you hit the gas pedal on journeys. And there's a lot more in this token. And I've even confessed then and now I have no idea about this particular token. But when you play how all this works, that all made sense. The speed of which is insane. But welcome to crypto. We're having our pullback. It's already wicked up. If this holds in the next little bit or even takes off, that's insane. It's still showing we have legs. Slight little curve because that's massive. It makes sense to have some down or up because, like we said, like 122% in 3 days. You wanted to hear off to the races? Jesus fucking Christ, that went off to the races.
It's
It
my
would make
pony.
sense.
It's my pony in first place.
It would make sense. I love it. That people would take profits here. Why wouldn't you? How much profits do you need? We talk about this. You know, you've started to see how things move and how fast things move. And that's what I've always been trying to show with part of our strategy of looking at the total market flow of cash capital coming in and going out, and then how that relates to staying in the market and going into our alts, and how these little tiny percentages, some people be like 53.96 to 54.5, that's nothing. When we're talking $2.5 trillion, that's money. And you're either capitalizing on it, or your long-term hold and great trades capitalizing on it, or you're buying and selling out of FOMO, and you're paying those two style of traders dinner. Thank you. That's about all I had. I do have a question on that for you, because you found it. It was a beautiful layup. Now, if you didn't buy it because you were in trades and you didn't want to use your last limited reserves for that, I wouldn't say that's a Chicken Little move. But if you're sitting there with bags of capital, dry powder, cash, USDT, USDC, whatever you want to call it, and you didn't deploy, my question is why? And I'll be honest, for all those that are actually watching, I don't know the answer to this.
I wanted to see what would happen, because it seemed a little unpredictable to me. Because the reason why I sent you this list of things was you just suggested, like, go check it out. And I just kind of nerded out a little bit. So I have an entire list, but this one was kind of the most curious to me. And I think it was because I didn't really know. I hadn't DYOR'd, quite frankly. And
But
so
you were
that's
confident in the technical analysis that you did that this was ready to pop?
mm-hmm.
Do you yourself think the reason you didn't get in if you had cash on the sidelines was because of self-doubt, Chicken Little, and you didn't want to do it? Or was it seriously you wanted to do more DYOR? What was it? That's a fair question.
It's a very fair question. I think that I had a half Chicken Little,
That's
and
Chicken Little. 10 days.
well, just hold. There's more to the story, but I also don't know exactly, because I was on TradingView the whole time looking at these things, and not once did I go over and actually look at it. So I don't know if I went through, and this is kind of answering Anna America's comment there about how did I find it. I actually think I went through every one on Pope's list, or the NFAOFC list, whether it was on one of my exchanges or not, only because there's so many people here with different exchanges. I know Binance seems to have the most amount of coins in this list, but I just don't have access to all of them. So I don't even know if it's on my exchange.
I've heard it. That's a fair answer. I'm not going to give you a Chicken Little. You're learning. You're trying to find great entries. I think that's awesome. You nailed that. I even said I heard of it. I didn't know much about it. I still don't. I didn't have time to go to CoinMarketCap, CoinMarketCal, go all about it. You did say a little. We do also update our list. The list we have that is available for download in our modules doesn't auto update for you. So sometimes we delete them because they're no longer on exchanges. Sometimes we find new ones and we add them. So you can always go back into the module, download the list. You can rename it in TradingView on the actual date to see if there's any differences from the list you currently have. And this isn't a finite list. Like I think we've talked about it. I remember when there was less than 9,000 tokens. Now we have over 2 million.
That's wild.
So it's hard to keep track of all of them. We don't know all of them. Even the ones I know, sometimes I'm like, oh shit, how come that's not on our list? Like I've known that for years. It's a great token. It's not a finite thing by any means. And then I also at Supreme point out some of these are micro, very like almost pink sheet stuff, like virtual poker you were asking about, small market cap, Gamblefy, I think might be big this year. You have to look when you're doing your DYOR at what you're investing in too. What is the volume of money being traded? You don't want to be in something that it's trading $35,000 to $50,000 a day and walk in and drop 10K on the table. That's not going to be good investment business. There goes that market for a bit, so you have to look at all these different variables and understand when we're looking at them. And that's why I say when we do the hunt or we pick some, I found some of the gems or the entries in that list at that time. But great point. That list is by no means a finite list. It's always evolving. And if you didn't know how to get the update of it or the download, now you do.
Well, we talked about this because there was other people that were people on the Discord have been asking us and DMs and stuff about these shit coins, as we call them, and people want us to throw the shit coins on here and mark them up, which I mean, it kind of we can absolutely do that. The problem with that is it's very much like teaching you how to gamble. It's like even you talk about if you're going to do shit coins and it's kind of just for fun, there's not a lot of money you're putting into it. You are spending time doing this technical analysis and finding these things that have longevity, they have good teams behind them that have shown that they're constantly working on this technology that maybe they're pushing. So even though the shit kinds are cool and you can go outside the list, you have to even look a little further in to see.
Yeah, and TA on shit coins and micro caps, and if they're all unknowns, is fool's gold. Because it takes one person to withdraw, and it's over. It might lay over a bit and work for a bit, but try to do TA is about statistical average probabilities. If something is young, it has little to no statistical average probability. It can change like that. And if you're here to make money, protect your capital, why are you playing in that? It's fun to do it with a little bit of the money. Absolutely. When you have that capital, because sometimes, say you take $1,000 for the year and you put $250 into, you break it up into those 4 different shit tokens that capture your interest off the year. Maybe one of them hits and it pays for way more. Maybe you miss on all 4, right? But you're not putting a ton of capital into it. I mean, Remy Ryan, our Discords, I call him the king of microcaps. If you've been following Remy Ryan's microcap calls in our Discord, you're howling. His percentages on those things are stupid. But I don't play him because it's the majority of the time it's toilet paper. But he nails them. The ones he's very specific what he puts in. I will give him that. So there's ones in there I should play more. But even himself, he's always put in like little bits amounts because he knows you got to play a ton of them for one to hit if you're lucky.
Well, to me, it's like people think they're putting this stuff in there because it's a sure thing, and that's where I mean, there's so many times where it's not even long enough that your micro bear Michael Bull doesn't fire. You don't even get Bollinger Bands.
Well, and and then, like I said, one transaction changes everything, and I don't want to waste my breath on it. There's so many other ways to make good, smart money that I haven't played one since last summer, and it's just a preference of how I protect and stack my capital.
So we're gonna focus on the ones that have longevity and stuff here, just so you guys can be a little more successful, because it's gonna bring down the average if we start gambling like that.
Totally, absolutely. And speaking of averages, yes, I have been playing safe, and I don't think I did a sheeple move, but I did make an investment after playing the other side. Or going in the other side. I went and I bought some land. I think I told you this morning. What did I say?
I bought some acid.
Yeah.
I'm like, what kind? IRL?
I I bought some acid. One of my successes, I suck at trading NFTs. I'm the first one to admit that. I've done well with many good projects because I take the same thing, but as a flipper trader, not very good. For me, there are more collections. I enjoy it. But one of the things where I have been successful with NFTs is buying the fear, using the same principles that I was talking about. And I'll go into certain collections and I will look at what is rare in that collection. Laser eyes. 69 of them, if anybody was wondering. But in the case of acids, there was only it's the number 2 most rare in all of the other side deeds. And there was a few for sale. There still is, but there was a few for sale in the 0.3s, 0.4s, 0.6, 0.7, and then the rest were high. And I had one before and I sold it for quite a lot of ETH. And I was like, this to me, kind of after what I've seen and the history, I think this is a no-brainer, and there's not that many on the market. So I grabbed a few. That was one of my trades I've done lately. It is a longer time hold. And if you do look at some of the past sales, they're in excess of 100 ETH. So I'll be curious to see what the long-term hold on a 0.4 and 0.7 land purchase of some acid will be in the other side. I think there's one left under 0.9 last time I looked. Not saying it's a financial advice or anything.
It
Outside of
sounds like
that,
it sounds like it's safer than the acid trips from the 90s. So
oh,
I was having some flashbacks to my high school days.
now there's the word of truth. Why I could end on that note. As to say, ladies and gentlemen, happy Friday. Have a great weekend. Watch the cash money flow. I'll be coming at you with some information from the hunt. We'll be looking at new entries all next week. So we can start to watch some slower trades and make some more percentages. Crypto Katie, do you have anything else?
Guys, no, I'm so excited to have a weekend. Hopefully it stops raining, and hopefully Pope will get outside for a minute. Who knows?
What? I
But
have no
we
idea
can
what you're talking
see you Monday.
about. Outside. What is this?